Ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear the sound of my voice, that means you are tapped into another episode of the Casual Friday podcast here on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. I'm Jeff. That's Shawn with a W, and you see us both on Casual Fridays. It might mean that we got to roast the Knicks. We've got to stop meeting like this, Shawn, but I'm always happy to meet you here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of chatting going on. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Like this video if you love what you're hearing. Comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and lock in with us because we're talking about the week that was and the week that is yet to be. It's another big time Friday. Knicks, Oklahoma City Thunder, blue and orange derby. This time in MSG. We're gonna have to link up with the Oklahoma City fans and make this a blue and orange derby, or come up with a name, because it's the right to wear the colors, the beautiful colors of the blue and the orange. I think their blue is slightly lighter, but you know it's it is what blue. It is. What is it?
It's fake blue.
It's derby time, and you know what that means. So, Shawn, since last we spoke in the last week, the Knicks are 1-3. So starting with OKC, they went to a 3 in a row. 3 in a row they lost, and then they got their bounce back with the Raptors on Wednesday, and now they have another meeting with the Thunder, who recently had their 15-game winning streak snapped by the Cleveland Cavaliers, the immortal Cleveland Cavaliers, it seems, and now they're looking to get back. Knicks are looking for payback. Shawn, what are your vibes right now?
The vibes are unstable. And the vibes are unstable, not because of the opponent tonight, because as I've said all week, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they owe us a lick, and hopefully we get that lick back tonight at the world's most famous arena. But for me, the vibes are unstable because I am not sure if what we're doing is viable long term. And you probably know what I'm talking about. Let's address the elephant in the room. The debate is back like it never left. The minutes. And we're not talking about meetings. We're not talking about written words. We're talking about playing time. Now, I'll say this. The minutes police, there are a lot of people in the minutes police they're in the minutes police because they use the minutes because they've never liked Tom Thibodeau, and they use that as another stick to beat him with because they want him fired. I am not talking to those people. I am not associating with those people. Those people can stay over there. Then there are
the
people
extremists.
the extremists. Then there are people who believe that the solution is to play Tyler Kolek, Pacome Dadier, or Ariel Hukporti 25, 30 minutes a game. I am not with those people either. They can go over. That's another level of extreme. I don't like all these hmms.
It's just interested. It's interested.
What I will say is that the people who tell me that the minutes don't matter. Nothing to see here. It's not an issue. Be quiet. Like, that's a joke. I saw Steph Bondy had a column the other day, and he tweeted about it, about how he's tired of the minute stuff, and that we should embrace it because, actually, you know something? I want to make sure I get it right because I do not like to misquote people because I have it right here. I want to make sure I have this right so I don't misquote people. Don't misquote him. He said, if you give him being Thibodeau, a life raft to victory, he'll use it. If you give him a life raft that's veering away from victory for the sake of safety, he's jumping off the other side of the boat without a preserver and probably hollering at a referee on the way down. That's the Tibbs way, and frankly, fans should embrace it. Winning games, despite what you may have learned from the New York Giants retention discussions, is important in sports.
Jesus.
The idea that I have to embrace a long-term strategy that I do not find viable because the Knicks used to be bad or because the New York Giants are a dumpster fire is laughable. The minutes, the argument, like the minutes matter. Like don't tell me it doesn't matter. Like that's my biggest thing. That's I stand on this thing. Don't tell me it doesn't matter, because it matters. Like we can't sit there and we can't watch a game and say, well, Josh Hart seems to not be doing a good job of getting back to guard the 3-point line, or OG Anunoby keeps getting beat back door, or Mikal Bridges missed a defensive assignment. He didn't get around the screen, he missed a rotation. Like you can't say all these things, and then when someone says, "Hey, maybe they're tired," no, how dare you? You don't know ball. Shut up. Be quiet. Tibbs knows what he's doing. You're not a coach. You don't know what you're doing. Like, dog, before my current position, I worked at ad agencies for 13 years, and I managed teams. And a lot of times when we manage teams at ad agencies, a lot of the people on your teams are entry-level people out of school that are going to require training. And I tell you this, if I had a team of 5 people and we had a ton of work to do, and I noticed that every day around 3 to 5 p.m., my team's productivity dropped. And I noticed that every Thursday and Friday, the productivity was not as good as Monday and Tuesday. But then on Monday and Tuesday, they start kicking ass again. I'd say, wait a minute, we have a problem. And if I realized that the problem was like, well, we need more people, and I go to my management and I say, we need more people, and they're like, sorry, we can't bring everyone in right now. At that point, I'm going to say, you know what? Let me see if I could find another way to do this, to get this work done, because I can't keep doing this, because if I keep doing this over and over again, expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity. So to quote one Jeff Johnson, when someone says, what should the Knicks do differently? The answer is something, because I don't need to. And here's the thing. Here's what I'll say, and I'll wrap up here.
Yes, sir.
Part of the something is, and I'll go back to the ad agency analogy. If I have someone who's fresh out of school, that's 3 months into school, I'm not going to put them in front of the client and say, hey, present this deck. Right? However, I will say, okay, I have to put this deck together for this client presentation. Let me find something that this young dude can help me out, or this young lady can help me out with on this project to ease the burden. I'm not just going to say, hey, my 2 best people, you need to do this whole deck by yourself while they do nothing, when I know they can do something. So again, I'm not saying now in this case, something is Tyler Kolek, you don't need to play 25, 30 minutes game because you're probably not ready. But I can find 5 minutes for you somewhere.
Right.
Somewhere. Tyler, Ariel Hukporti helped us win the Brooklyn Cup game. I don't need to play you 25 minutes because you'll probably get put in a spliff by Jokic or Embiid, whoever. But I can find, and that's just one, and I'm not saying that is the only explanation. That is one explanation. But again, do something, because, and I'm going to shout out Busy because he said this on Study Hall. I don't believe that, what did he say? He said, it's one thing to try to win every game so you avoid the Boston side of the bracket, but it's another thing if you never even get to play Boston in the first place because your players didn't have enough to get there.
Yeah. You were spitting, bro. You were spitting. You sound as angry as I sounded after that damn dice roll and that NBA Cup quarterfinal, right? Like you sounded just like me. So here's the thing. We grew up on basketball in an era where this would be a nonsensical discussion. A completely nonsensical discussion. The era that we grew up on. 90s hoops. Mm-hmm. If you would be labeled soft if you brought load management to that era. And of course, eras evolve when you get more information, technology evolves, medicine evolves, and we learn new things, and thus our approach should update based on what we know. That's why we don't smoke on planes. because we got data that said, hey, that might not be a good idea, and we run with it. I bring up our hoop fandom because one of the reasons why it wasn't an issue was because that's what the league was doing. Everyone was playing their best players, however many minutes that they were required in order to win the game. No concern for load management or injury. Whether or not there should have been, I'll let the historians debate that. But this was the trend in the league. So teams and players were doing as the league does. This is 2025. The league doesn't operate like that anymore. Players rest. There's more training and conditioning staffs. There's people who are hired specifically by the team to monitor players' loads and their loading. What's the term? They're the actual load they put on their body, the wear and tear, the physical exertion. And so they'll know, hey, Blake Griffin was just telling a story about that on 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, of how there's specific people that's hired to tell you, yo, you've been going crazy the last few days. We're going to need to rest you, even if they wanted to play. So it isn't always a desire of the players. It is because of the investment the team is putting into these players. The other aspect, it's become, just like we live in a 24/7 news cycle, it's become 24/7 athletics for these hoopers. It's a 365-day game. They're playing in summer league. They're playing their open runs with their peoples in the summer. They're playing longer. And this was an Olympic year that they were coming off of as well. So there's a lot more wear and tear, and even from younger age, AAU, all of those things. Yes. They're just accustomed players. The new players now are accustomed to playing a lot of basketball. So they come into the league with more wear and tear than the average player came in with 15, 20 years ago. You have to take all of this into consideration when you talk about the minutes. That's the first thing that I will bring up. That's why I think it's important that it is a discussion, because I ain't the minutes police at all. My thing is, don't look tired, and I got nothing to say. Those last 3 games, I've been on teams where you knew you didn't have it anymore.
Yes.
Well, I remember around in my hood, we were running fulls all day. This is, when you were a kid, you got no job, you out of school, you got the most energy, peak energy that you're gonna have in your body in any point in your life. We win 4 in a row. And for anybody 18 or younger listening, it is better to quit while you're ahead. Because when you go for the 5th one, ask your team, do they want to play? And if y'all start getting smacked 5-0, rage quit. Because nothing good is going to come out of it, right? We had the last game of the day. Yo, y'all want to run? Yeah. We ran, and we had point game. My man, one of my good friends had the fast break layup. I'm talking shit while he's going in for the layup. Like, yeah, y'all thought y'all was going to beat us. Da-da-da. Like, he's on a fast break. He smokes the layup. And the collective energy of the team just left our bodies. That's when we started feeling the aches and pains. We started feeling sore, all of that. The team comes back, wins in overtime. The game went to overtime. Like, we went straight 25 or something like that. And we were cooked. We were cooked before we started the game. We were willing to the win. But once that happened, it was a complete momentum shift. So I can see when people are physically tired. And these players, one, they're media trained, so they're not gonna say what they really feel unless you catch them in a moment, right? 2, I'm not gonna admit that I'm tired, because that shouldn't be an excuse. But if it is a reason, and I know Shawn will laugh at this when we talk about excuses versus reasons, there is a difference. There is a difference, especially when you're on this side. There is a difference, right? There is reasons why that you can explain it away. After and OKC, I do not blame them. That was a playoff game. Yes. That was a playoff game. They emptied the tank. That's why it hurt when they lost, because I knew Saturday was getting punted. And on Derrick Rose night, that game was getting punted, right? Yeah. So the Saturday game, then the game against the Magic, a team that beats you up, they just looked like they didn't have it, Shawn. So that's why I bring up That's why I bring up the minutes, and I think it is a worthwhile discussion this year. You look at the current minutes in the league this season. Number 1, Mikal Bridges. Number 2, Josh Hart. And then Mikal, 39 minutes. Josh Hart, 37. OG 8th with 36 and a half. And then where do we go? Jalen at 35. I think Cat, let me see. Where is Cat? Cat probably is like at 32.
Yeah, I had this looked up, but it was somewhere.
Yeah, go ahead, run it.
No, but it's just like, and again, we're not saying
Cat at 34.6. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I want to be clear. One, we're not saying fire the coach. We're not saying play rookies.
We're having
all
a conversation
in the world. We understand. We're not saying go trade for somebody, because Jeremy did a very good job on Monday in Cap and No Cap outlining the trade options out there aren't the best. Our core belief is that this is not sustainable long term. That's our core belief. This is not 2021 anymore. The goal is not just to win as many games as possible so you can be a 4 seed and say, hey, look, we're back. The goal is to win the championship. And if you tell me that this strategy will help us win the championship, cool. But if you think that it can be detrimental, you don't have to embrace it. Is it going to change? Probably not. And actually, I'll say this. Ultimately, this is an organizational decision. And Leon Rose is the head of the organization, and he's the head of a multi-billion-dollar industry. So if he believes that his assets are not being used in the best way to achieve the goals of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, then it's on him to do something about it. And that's either you tell Tibbs, play this guy, you're fired, or you get him more players, or you say, hey, do this, or do something like that. So I'm gonna shoot Tibbs bail here, because at the end of the day, it is Tibbs' job as a head coach to win basketball games, and he's trying. He just like, and most other coaches, they're trying to win. All they care about is trying to win tomorrow. So it is an organizational decision. So I can't put it all on Tibbs, but from the organization, I don't believe this is sustainable, and don't tell me it doesn't matter and that I should embrace it because Jerome James was a Knick 15 years ago.
Yeah, I hear you, man, and one thing that I do want to discuss with this minutes thing, this is a this year issue. This is a this year issue. Last year, and Shawn knows this because I've shot Tibbs so much bail on this minutes thing from last year because people were erroneously using it as a talking point because it became the default talking point. Just like how Jalen Brunson couldn't be a top 5 player because he doesn't wear lifts in his shoes, right? Like it just became a default talking point. Just a level set from last year, right? Randall had a shoulder injury. OG had bone spurs. Mitch broke his foot in Boston and then came back and got put in the angle lock by Embiid. Right? None of those, and even OG's hamstring injury, those are not exhaustion-based injuries. Like you have plenty of doctors that'll tell you could pull a hammy whenever. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter, like overuse isn't a case. And even with OG, he wasn't around enough to be overused.
Yes.
Because he had the time off because of his getting the bone spurs out of his elbow. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes. Then when you look at the minutes, no Knick in the top 10 of minutes per game. They had 2 players in the top 40 of total minutes. And Devo was like 48th. So this wasn't an issue. And then even you can go back to the vaunted January Knicks. When they had a bench. Think about this, Shawn. The starting lineup, I believe to start the year last year, was Mitch, RJ, Randall, Brunson, and Quentin Grimes.
Yes.
With Hart, Devo, Hartenstein, Deuce, and Precious Achua on the bench.
Well, Precious.
Not yet.
We had strong 9.
All those guys, strong 9, and then Deuce wasn't even getting run.
Yes.
But 9 players were playing. Then when they made the trade, 9 players were routinely playing. So this isn't a last year. This isn't he always does this. That is false. He uses a bench when he has it, which goes to my next point where you said the whole do something, right? I'm watching the who he play for All-Stars get into games for contending teams. Donovan Mitchell, I think, has played like the lowest minutes he's played in NBA basketball in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand if you're telling me, all right, Jeff, but they actually got a bench, they got whatever. Okay, I hear you on that. I'm gonna go to a random game. Matter of fact, I won't even go to a random game. I lied to you. I'll go to OKC Cleveland.
I said the same damn thing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kenrich Williams got 13 minutes. The other Jalen Williams got 10 minutes, and he was coming back from injury, using him as a stretch five. And they ran nine players. SGA ran 38. Makes sense. That's your star. They're gonna play the most minutes. Case and Wall is 30 minutes. iHeart is 30 minutes or less, bro. iHeart don't be getting it in. Now, let's go to the Cavs. 10 players. Okoro, who still left his shot in El Segundo. Okoro, and by the way, speaking of El Segundo, shout out to everybody in LA.
Yes.
California.
Absolutely.
I meant to say it at the top. I knew I forgot something. I apologize. Shout out to everybody in LA. Thoughts, wishes, prayers, all of that for y'all. You know, Macri said in his newsletter, and I'll reiterate, if KFS can do anything for y'all, holla at the squad. You know, we got so many people, Shawn, in LA. I'd be like, damn, I be having to go through my phone to remember who's in LA. But hopefully, you know, I've heard good stories. I've heard horrible stories. So, you know, best wishes for y'all, man, because that shit is horrible. Yeah, that shit is awful. Absolutely horrible. And now segue back into basketball.
Yeah.
Isaac Okoro, 13 minutes. Georges Niang, 13 minutes. And this dude, what were they? What was their plus minus? Do I have their plus minus?
I got it right here.
No.
Niang's plus minus. He was a -1. Okoro was a plus 12.
Oh yeah, it's right there in my face.
Yeah.
How was Okoro plus 12? Whatever.
So
I don't know. Dean Wade, 20 minutes. Ty Jerome, 11 minutes. I could be saying these names and you wouldn't know if they were NBA players. For some of y'all who don't watch these other teams, I could just be shouting names. Alex Ovechkin, 10 minutes. I could just be shouting names. People are getting run, right? And here's the thing, Shawn. If you're telling me, well, rookies don't get to play and the coach has to trust them and whatnot, I respect it. It's the Tibbs way. You deal with your coach, you deal with your coach, whatever. They don't practice. So how are these players supposed to prove that they can get on the court? And Deuce kind of told us. In the garbage time minutes, this is what he looks for. This is when he's locking in. And I'm sure he also looks at G League footage. But my thing is, if you're not practicing, fam, and you're only looking for garbage time minutes, then you might discover a hidden gem too late. Or even somebody who's functional. When you have injuries, why are you keeping the rotation shorter? I'm just saying from a logical perspective. Why would you shorten the rotation? And that's the issue that I have more than anything, is how Monica said it. Shout out to Monica McNutt, the homie Monica McNutt. She even said it. I don't know how these players are supposed to prove it if they don't get on the court.
Yeah, if you don't practice and you don't play when it's supposed to prove it. And honestly, Tibbs does it because Tibbs is afraid to lose. He has a fear of losing, and fear will always do the work of reason.
That is true. That is true. And I get it. And shout out to Jeremy, actually, who spoke on the Knicks Film School pod, where he broke down for those who said, well, the front office fumbled. He broke down the moves that they tried to do. And what Tulog didn't read, after the Knicks went all in with Cat and Mikal Bridges, the cupboard was bare. And other teams had better assets at the time to get their ancillary pieces. Remember, the Knicks revamped. They renovated their crib. New couch, new big new TV, all of that. These other teams were just getting small pieces. We gutted the house and we're building it back up. They just said, yo, I need a sound bar. And we got, and this shit is popping. I want to get this piece of art for the living room. That's what a lot of these other teams, and they have the continuity, which is why I do appreciate that the starters have played so long, because they're not going to have to catch up as much. But at some point, and I think this is the point that Shawn and I are making, at some point, logically, this isn't sustainable. Logically, this isn't sustainable. Even if a couple of players can sustain it, like Mikal naturally plays a lot of minutes. Josh plays naturally a lot of minutes. If those are the workhorses, I respect it. I'm sorry. After that OKC fall, I think OG went to Wakanda and he got vibranium in him. Because the way he popped up was, oh, it just hit my funny bone. This is different. That man got the herb, the heart-shaped herb. He got vibranium-laced skin fibers. Like, he's different. If he's durable, all respect to you, bro. But I would like you not to play. Maybe get under 35. That's the other thing, Shawn. If this was like 36, 35, 35, 35, nobody would really be talking. Mm-hmm. Nobody would really be talking. It's the fact that Mikal's almost averaging 40 minutes a game. And then on top of that, you have guys like Mikal who will play whole quarters. Brunson, whole quarters. Hart, whole quarters. At what point does the law of diminishing returns take over?
Apparently it doesn't exist. If you let some people tell it, there's no such thing as the law of diminishing returns in Madison Square Garden or any team that wears orange and blue that played that's from New York.
Let's get to the super chats real quick. We've been pontificating for a bit. Let's get to the super chats. Robert W. Cross and Kevin Danishevsky look like Jada and Styles in the super chats. Thank you, good friends. Let's get to
Shout
it.
out to y'all.
Robert W. Cross. It is a casual Friday. This is for Shawn with a W. I am available for study hall tomorrow from 8 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern. Let's go, Knicks. Hey.
So, Robert, I have bad news. I have bad news for you. Study hall will be at 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. That's the best time that we could find. So I apologize.
I know you trying to go hiking or something. He in Portland, right? Are you in Oregon? I know you trying to go hiking or do something super. That's the healthiest state, bro. You walk in, you smell that air, you gain a year on your life. Everybody barefoot, hiking, walking. There's soul food spots out there too. Shout out to Voodoo Donuts for the tourists.
Let the minutes reflect that a man said he'll be available at 8 a.m. Eastern time. And he lives in Oregon.
Yeah, you're a psycho. You're a psycho. You're legit psycho. Or you just wake up early, or you still wake up on East Coast time, which is double psycho. Kevin Danishevsky, sup, Shawn? Minutes should be viewed on a personal basis. Mikal Hart a freak, so it's fine. JB Cat a macro fine, about 34, but micro issues. OG a problem. I guess by no fault of my own, I agree with Kevin Danishevsky, because I kind of alluded to that. What do you think about that, Shawn?
I agree that it should be viewed on a personal basis. Where I would push back is the Mikal and Hart are freaks, so it's fine. No, they're not robots. They're human beings. Fine. And here's what I will tell you, especially with Mikal Bridges. If Tibbs, I have a funny feeling that Tibbs' strategy for minutes isn't, okay, I went to the training staff, we monitored your vitals, we monitored everything, we figured that you can play exactly 39 minutes a game. That's your limit. So that's what we're going to play you every night, because that's what the data tells us. That's not what Tibbs' approach is. Tibbs' approach is, I'm trying to win this game. I'm going to play this motherfucker as long as I can in order to try and win this game. And you know how I know this? Because if you look at Mikal Bridges' minutes, they're all over the place. It's working backwards from the Toronto game. 35, 42, 33, 40, 44, 35, 46, 43, 43, 40, 45, 35, 40, 37, 41, 37, 46, 35. You get the point. It should be viewed on a personal basis, but it's hard for me to say that these guys are freaks when I saw Josh Hart have an abdominal injury in Game 5 against the Pacers, and if you look up what it caused abdominal strains, excessive
use. Which we knew it was a ticking. To be fair, we knew we were on a ticking time bomb. We knew we were operating with a ticking time bomb. It just went boom in game 7. It went boom in game 7.
Boom. Yeah, it went boom. And honestly, it was like, all right, look. And again, that team's goal was not to win the championship.
Right.
This team's goal is to win the championship. So again, the overall point that we're making is don't tell me it doesn't matter.
Robert W. Cross again. I will call it like I see it. The starters' minutes are absurd. JB comments was telling. And if you don't know what Rob is talking about, Brunson was asked a question about the minutes, and he pretty much said something to the effect of, "It doesn't matter if we're tired." Do I got that right? Paraphrasing.
He said a couple things. He said, "We don't complain how we're tired. That's not how we play. That's not what we do." And then the other thing he said was, "I don't know if it's a dumb conversation, but shout out to our training staff." That kind of like
yeah.
Again, don't tell me well, the players say they want to play. Like the players, if the players came out and said, "Yo, honestly, dog, I really don't want to play more than 35 minutes a game," you would roast them and pack them the F up. Like, please do not insult my intelligence by saying, "Well, the players want to play." So we have to listen. We have to take football players' helmets from them when they want to go back into a game when what they used to say got your bell rung, which you now know is a concussion.
And what day of the week is it? Aardvark. You're right. Let's get him right back in. Word up. Yeah, and I'll even flip what Kevin said about their freak, so it's fine. Wouldn't it make sense to preserve the freakish athlete so that they can be at their most freakish when it matters, right? Just because you can play 40 minutes a game doesn't mean you should. So the question is it a Tibbs issue? Is it a bench issue? Is it a front office issue? Or yes?
Yes. Like, I want to win the championship. I don't need, I hate the Bulls. I hate the Bulls more than any team in the league except the Miami Heat. If we lose to them on Derrick Rose, if we punted Derrick Rose night, I would have been able to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, whatever.
Kevin Danishevsky says, Hart 40 minutes from January 2nd on last year. Great playoffs. And what happened at the end of the playoffs, my dude? Why didn't he finish those playoffs? For real.
And again, Jeff, I'm not going to tell you, Julius Randle's injury was a freak injury. It's not because of you. That's not because of overuse.
It was not. Nope.
OG is not because of overuse. Mitch, not because of overuse. However, when the 6'4" dude you have playing power forward 40 minutes a night, all of a sudden has an ab strain, to act as if playing those minutes, to completely rule that out as a consideration, is short-sighted, and quite frankly, it's insulting.
I agree. See, here's the thing. I totally get, like, I heard Macri talking, and I've heard a bunch of people, like the Bondi Macri side, where they're like, yo, we ain't been living like this for a long time, so y'all shouldn't be, I'm not going to worry about it. And in Bondi's case, I'm tired of talking about it, because you should want this type of mentality from your coach, because it's a winning mentality. I agree up until a point, right? If you live in a high-rise location where there is a shooting on your block every week, but the high-rise is fire, your apartment, your penthouse is fire. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you want more for yourself than just living in the high-rise? Like, if you live in the high-rise and you could say, yo, you never lived in this high-rise in your life. You never lived in a penthouse before. You were able to get it. You was able to afford it. You not living paycheck to paycheck. You living good. But there is active crime outside of your building every day. Are you going to say, well, yo, I ain't never lived like this before, so hey, as long as they ain't shooting at me, it's good? No. Like, yes, if you're living like that, then that means you're scared of of losing what you have to try to get something better. And that's a bigger issue. Just because the Knicks have stunk for a better part of the 21st century, and now they are one of the elite franchises in the league right now. One of the most, and I don't think that's out of turn to say that, one of the most elite run franchises, and they're back on track. It doesn't mean that you get there at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
There are costs. And if the costs can be avoided, then something needs to happen. Like even if it's Mikal plays 5 less minutes, Hart plays 3 less minutes. Like get them under a little bit. And then if you give these other players some run, then maybe they'll be able to show you something and earn your trust.
Yes.
We saw a little bit of it in the last game. I think Shamit played
like 20. I think he'll play like 21 minutes that game.
Yeah, for sure. Where are we? Damn, Toronto played a back-to-back. New York and Cleveland. Those schedulers hate them, dude. That's crazy. I would have been sick. And then the Knicks bench comes in and goes -12 in 2 minutes because Chris Boucher had he was like he was playing for incentives, bro. It was like he was playing for incentives, and everybody was like, Tibbs, I apologize, but I'd like to see them in consequence. And here's the other thing, Shawn. You telling me you don't want to play Huck, like the Huck Porty example, you like Jokic put him in a split. Why don't you match them up with the bench players that are coming in? The homeboy Mitchell on the Thunder dropped 8 points off the bench, and I swore I did not know who he was.
I did.
I think he's a rookie
for All-Stars.
I think he's a rookie, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want. We're about to get out here, so I'm not trying to look it up. But he's at worst a second-year player that doesn't get run when everybody's there. But Dangolt said, I'm going to use my depth. And he even said, I don't got the depth problems Tibbs got. So we got to run it differently. I got respect for him because I ain't going to front. I don't got those depth problems. But I think part of those depth problems is you don't know what the hell is going on with your bench. At least you got to try.
The idea that, oh, well, we're winning now, so we should just keep doing this because we weren't winning before. Imagine if the Golden State Warriors had that mindset when they got rid of when they got rid of Steve. We got rid of when they got rid of Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr, because it would have been like, you can't get rid of Mark Jackson. You ain't been. And the Warriors, listen, the Warriors used to be the Knicks. You can't get rid of Mark Jackson. Look where he got you. Look, but the Golden State Warriors said, you know what? We think we can do better. Let's bring in this guy, and the rest is history.
Exactly. So we got the Thunder tonight. Let's pull up the Knicks schedule so we can see where you think they headed. We got the Thunder tonight, then the Bucks on the 12th, Pistons on the 13th, back to back.
And that's not
Sixers,
easy either.
Yeah, that's not an easy back to back. Not anymore. It's not your brother's Pistons. Knicks and Sixers Wednesday, and they've been on the uptick. And then the Timberwolves next week. So 1, 2, 3, 5 games against 500 teams or better. Or at least 500 teams. I think the Sixers.
I think the Pistons are 500.
Yeah. I think the Sixers are the only ones that are sub 500.
No, I actually think they're at 500. Yeah, they're 19-19. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons.
That's crazy. How you think they do this week?
I will take 3-2. I really want to win this game tonight. By the way, when Isaiah Hartenstein, his name's announced, I will be standing up and cheering his name. If you boo him, you deserve ice cream smash in your face. That the Black Jokic is good on Dykeman, and I'm clear. But in terms of the games this week, I mean, like, we're probably going to drop one of the two against Milwaukee or Detroit. We go to Philly, and then Minnesota's beatable. And like I said, these next 5 games are home. The Philly games at Philly, but again, that's a train ride, not a plane.
It's a Knicks satellite location.
Exactly. Wells Fargo Garden. So I think 3-2 is definitely feasible.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way because I can see that back to back. One of them games is gone. I feel like a lot of that 3-2 hinges on what happens tonight and how they play, how they look, who plays. Because we haven't even mentioned part of the reason why the bench issue has been an issue and the minutes issue is because Deuce has been out for 5 games with that hammy. True. So he's been questionable since he was out. So we'll see if he feels good to go tonight or if he could come back during the streak because they definitely need his scoring and his defense. So yeah. All in all, man, I do not want to have this conversation. I don't want to have this conversation anymore. I heard somebody say if this conversation keeps going into like March, then we got a major problem. So I think winning cures all, but I would like to see if they can't make a move for the bench, which I don't know they can, Mitch get here, Deuce get healthy, and let's see what they got. Let's see what they got, and let's see how it's going to move going forward. So that's as much I want to talk about minutes as I want to covering this team. I hope it's not, but we'll see. But just know it is a thing. Shawn, where can the people find you?
The people can find me at Shawn __ on the app formerly known as Twitter and on Blue Sky. And you can find me running my mouth on the Hoop Spaces Twitter space Monday to Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yes, sir. Oh, one more super chat. Thank you, Shawn. From Robert W. Cross, listen, I played rough for hours on end in the harshest environments. Like Tim says, the magic is in the work. I hear that, man. You up there at 5 o'clock talking about, let's talk about some Knicks on Twitter Spaces. You a different type of cat, Robert Cross. That's why we mess with you. Jeff J says, all social media. Jeff J says, YouTube, NBA.com, TNT, True TV, MSG, and LMNOP. I'm out there tonight. Shawn, you out there tonight?
Yes, I will be in the building tonight, hopefully for a W.
Yes, sir. So I will see you there, and we will see you on the next episode of Casual Friday on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Share this with everybody who loves Knicks content. We're happy for you. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week. Go Knicks.